So when I was 6 years old, our grade 1 class was given the task of measuring out the length of a blue whale, the largest whale on Earth. There was no class website that provided a summary of how we did that. My parents didn't receive an email of any photos. It was a few years ago, and I can't even tell you if we did it in meters or in feet. But what I can tell you is, as a group of 6-year-olds, it started in the classroom, all the way down the hall, and into the library. And it's the first time I really thought about what lived under the sea. I grew up in Ottawa, not a lot of ocean, but my mother was from Nova Scotia. And so as a child, I had the opportunity regularly to come visit my grandmother in Chester, Nova Scotia. I actually learned how to swim in the Lido pool on the side of the ocean in the Parade Square. It's always funny to me when my daughter complains about how cold the pool is where she takes swimming lessons. And throughout my career, I've actually had the opportunity to work in several coastal communities and live. Sydney, Australia, Hong Kong, Montreal, and now St. John's, Newfoundland. To be able to witness living on the sea. From small fishing villages to large commercial trawlers as sources of food, to offshore oil and gas and what that means for family members that are regularly going out to sea. Ports filled with ships as signs of international trade and as an attraction for tourists. About 5 years ago, I had the opportunity to join my previous organization's National Innovation Council. The role of that council was to be able to increase innovation both within the organization and also with our clients. And what I learned through that role made me increasingly concerned about the future prosperity of Canada. Perhaps it was because at the time I was a relatively new mom. I had recently adopted my daughter from Kazakhstan. As I made her suffer through me practicing this presentation, she made me promise to say my amazing and beautiful, now 9-year-old daughter from Kazakhstan. But I was concerned with what I heard. Whether it was our productivity scores, which were not where they needed to be. We were not as ready for technological disruption as we needed to be. And in fact, as Canadian businesses, we actually underinvest in technology. We have low percentages of exporting. We do not score well on an innovation scorecard. While we are strong in research and in starting businesses, we fall short when it comes to growing those businesses to global scale. And so I was incredibly excited when the Innovation, Science, and Economic Development Innovation Supercluster Initiative, it's a lot of acronyms, was announced. The opportunity for $950 million of strategic investment in those areas where we believed that Canada could compete globally. Historically, with Canadian innovation investment has been spread across the country. So this was innovative economic policy to focus those investments to change our reputation for Canada as an innovation nation. It was designed to be industry-led. Any application had to be able to demonstrate that any federal dollar would be matched by an industry dollar. And so I was even more excited when the Ocean Supercluster was announced for Atlantic Canada, one of 5 winning superclusters across the country. So why ocean? Over 2/3 of the planet is covered in ocean, and yet remains largely unexplored. While for generations we have been exploring the ocean as a source of food and resources, we are always limited in how far and how deep we can go by the technology of the day. But as we hear, technology is advancing more rapidly than ever before. And this is allowing us to get farther and deeper. What we also hear through social media is that there are challenges facing the ocean. Climate change, runoff, destruction of coral, trash, particularly plastics, in the ocean. Each of these risking biodiversity and therefore life on Earth. But these same technological advances that allow us to get farther and deeper also provide potential solution to these challenges in the ocean. We are also facing the challenge of feeding the population of the future. And so both population growth as well as changing diets are increasing the demand for seafood as a source of protein. Fisheries alone will not be able to meet this demand. This increases the opportunity for aquaculture as at least a partial solution to the potential food security issues of the future. And so all of this has led the OECD to project a doubling of the ocean economy by 2030. A $1.5 trillion global opportunity in ocean. A tremendous opportunity for business, but also an opportunity that comes with risk. Sustainable development of ocean solutions will be important to ensure that we don't cause more harm than good with what we are doing on and under the sea. So why Canada? Canada has the largest coastline in the world. We have the 4th largest ocean territory and significant Arctic coastline. One of the things to consider in economic growth is where you have a natural geographic advantage. And there is no question that Canada has an advantage when it comes to ocean. We also have a long history of marine research. In fact, Nova Scotia is amongst one of the highest concentrations of ocean-related PhDs in the world. However, despite all this, Canada is not punching above its weight when it comes to ocean. In fact, the ocean economy contributes only 1.5% to Canadian GDP versus a world average of just over 3%. And so think about if we could get to average, and then we could take advantage of the projected growth by 2030. This presents a tremendous opportunity for Canada. And why Atlantic Canada? 75% of the ocean economy in Canada is in Atlantic Canada. We need to be leaders for the ocean supercluster to succeed for the country. We also have significant representation across ocean sectors, whether it's shipping, aquaculture, offshore oil and gas, fisheries, or areas like natural resource products or marine renewables. And traditionally, those sectors have tackled the problems of doing business in the ocean on their own or within their sector. What's interesting as we started asking questions is that many of the challenges that they face of doing business in the ocean are actually the same across sectors. Things like cost and risk. It costs more money to do business in the ocean. You don't have the same level of infrastructure as you do on land. You can't take a highway out to an offshore oil and gas platform. And being on water comes with different safety risks. When it comes to connectivity, communication on the water costs more. It is still more challenging and expensive for data collection to support decision-making when on the ocean. Capability, also a common challenge in terms of having enough talent to support the growth of the ocean sector. The future worker is not as interested in traditionally labor-intensive roles, of which the ocean economy has many. Automation is a key part of the solution to being able to increase productivity and to be able to achieve growth, as well as being able to attract international workers interested in a career in oceans, and also being able to attract smart capital, those investors that understand the risks and opportunities in the ocean and are willing to invest to help ocean-focused organizations grow. And finally, reach. And so when it comes to oceans and the ocean sector, these are actually relatively high levels of exports. And so to continue that growth, it's important to always be identifying new international investment, international partners, and new markets. So what if we could work together across ocean sectors to collaborate in new ways, to learn from each other, and to develop new solutions? What if, by working together differently in the ocean, we were able to increase commercial outcome, increase international focus, grow the ocean economy, and thereby grow the Canadian economy? This is the common vision that brought together industry players from across the country, mainly in Atlantic Canada to date, working with other organizations like academic institutions, Indigenous communities, government departments, not-for-profits, all with the belief that if we can work differently in the ocean, if we can align across the ecosystem on the desired outcomes for the ocean economy, that we can increase commercial outcomes, government and industry working together to really take advantage of our natural geography. And so, both government and industry have committed almost $153 million each. A 50-50 match on over $300 million in total to this vision, to changing the way we work in the oceans, in the ocean, and changing our innovation culture. It's early days, but I'm incredibly excited for the opportunity that this represents. So why? Why does this matter to you? Maybe you're like me. I've always enjoyed sitting and looking out at the ocean, whether on shore or on a boat, maybe with a drink. I've always found it very relaxing. But until recently, never really gave a lot of thought to the potential opportunity in ocean. Canada is only one of a number of nations that is increasing their focus on ocean. And what's important to realize is every decision by every nation that affects the ocean affects all of us because the ocean is truly linked all around the world. What is happening under the water is changing, and those changes do affect us all. As with any technological investment, it's not just about what you can do. It's also thinking about what you should do. As we digitize the ocean, as we go farther and deeper with autonomous vehicles, robotics and sensors allow us to go further out to sea, remote monitoring, capturing of data, and taking advantage of new marine resources, we always need to keep in mind the implications of our decisions, both on land and on sea. So if you're a tech company, there really has never been a better time to think about an ocean application, to work with those with deep ocean expertise, anything from blockchain, acoustics, genomics, digital twin, robotics, augmented reality, virtual reality, the list goes on. If you're a parent or a student, now's the time to think about a career in ocean, an opportunity to shape the marine sectors of the future, to be part of the sustainable development of the ocean. And this is a career that can be built in a rural coastal community or an urban center. And certainly for all of us, be informed. Increase the conversation around ocean, the potential and the risks. Hold those doing business in the ocean appropriately accountable for developing sustainable solutions. Understand the ocean strategy and how you can play a part. The ocean economy is set to double globally by 2030. This presents a tremendous opportunity for those nations that move quickly, that are collaborative and innovative. Canada, with its natural ocean geography and its research strength, has the potential to be one of those countries if we can change culture, increase commercial outcome, and change the way we tackle ocean challenges through collaboration. It is all of our responsibility to increase the conversation around ocean opportunity and to continually hold those accountable for doing business in the ocean, for developing sustainable solutions. I truly believe that the growth potential in the ocean economy is critical to the growth in our region, and in our country, and that we all share in the responsibility for our future prosperity. And so I leave you with this quote, one that motivates me. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? Thank you.